Wild Horses, a Pechakucha presentation that will rediscover the wild horse's origin, their ultimate battle for survival in 1971, and the continued plight of the wild horse today. With the help of the Spanish conquistadors, the wild horse has been introduced or reintroduced into the Americas. The conquistadors raided the continent looking for gold and glory, and in the process lost or abandoned some of their horses. Native Indians also stole some of the horses brought by the conquistadors. The natives became formidable horsemen that spread the horse even further along the continent. Eventually, the horse landed in the Great Plains, where it was able to flourish due to the land and food available. The wild horse of the West was born out of the escaped and abandoned horses left by the Spanish conquistadors and the Native Americans. Interestingly enough, the term Mustang, which is also used to describe wild horses, literally means the wild one. As later on the settlers arrived, they brought with them their own horses and started to kill off the wild horses because they did not want the Mustangs on their land, nor did they want that the Mustangs would breed with their horses. The settlers being the first to kill wild horses, others soon followed. Thus the era of the Mustangers began. The Mustangers killed and captured wild horses for money. Throughout the years, as technology got better with airplanes facilitating the roundups, the art of capturing wild Mustangs was swallowed up by the profit motive as well as greedy people. This had terrible consequences for the wild horse population because it started to diminish rapidly. But never fear, the savior of the wild horses emerged. Her name was Velma Johnston, and she was determined to stop the wild horses' diminishing populations. Velma began the fight to save the wild horses by releasing captured horses together with her husband Charlie. Velma also started to research everything she could about wild horses and let her dislike of the roundups be communicated to other people. She soon found like-minded people, and after years of struggling to make her plight for the wild horses public, passed the Wild Horse Any Act in 1959. This act prohibited the use of aircrafts to round up wild horses. In 1966, Velma returned to the fight, then the Wild Horse Any Act proved to have some huge loopholes. In 1971, the Wild Free Roaming Horses and Burro Act was passed, as well as an improved Wild Horse Any Act. The new act protected the Mustangs from harassment, capture, branding, and death. Velma had achieved her goal of protecting the wild horses. However, in 1976, an amendment was passed that would allow the Bureau of Land Management once again to round up wild horses with helicopters. This would lead to new problems in the future. In 1998, a horrible massacre happened just outside of Reno. It was called the Christmas or Wild Horse Massacre. Then on Christmas Day, 1998, 34 horses had been brutally mutilated and left to die. The massacre highlighted that not everyone was content with the wild horse protection. It also showed that some people might still think of the Mustangs as a nuisance that steal their land and water. Today, the wild horses are still rounded up from time to time in order to control their population. The horses are sent to adoption or rescue centers after they are rounded up, where they wait until someone wants to adopt them. But the roundups are still very controversial, as well as the rescue and adoption centers since 2004. Then since 2004, a horse that's over 10 years old or that has been unsuccessfully offered for adoption 3 times can be sold. This leads to wild horses being made into pet food once again, or being shipped to Mexico for human consumption. The roundups continue due to beliefs that the wild horses are overpopulated. But since the 2004 change, the populations of wild horses have actually been decreasing. And in 2007, the populations were almost as low as the wild horse Annie's time in 1971, when they first got protected. A supporting point for the overpopulation argument is that the horses don't have enough food and water to survive because there are too many horses. This seems to make the roundups plausible. But there are also some wild horses that don't have food scarcity problems at all. And here's a video to illustrate that point.
I'm walking down the street from my house. Here's my next door neighbor's yard. I'm glad they're in his yard and not mine. But yeah, just a couple of them having a little snack on his behalf because he grew this nice pasture for him. I don't know, there's about a dozen of them there, and then
the wild horse has been a controversial topic since the settlers. But I believe that we should keep protecting them because they were an integral part of our history. And I like to think of them as the ancient symbol of the West. They signify freedom and power to have your own will. Thank you for listening.